Hello, this is Dr. Theon welcoming you to Going Beyond Stories Business Story Show, where we meet and share impactful business stories of failing forward and succeeding greatly. The lessons we learn from stories make us better leaders and individuals. This month, we're celebrating African American businesses, their stories during Black History Month. And let me tell you a little bit about our guest today. I'm very excited, and I say excited a lot because I get excited about our guest. But as an entrepreneur since the age of 12, Desiree Debroux has always been the founder and owner of her own businesses. Today, her companies include An Empowered Woman, supporting women in starting, fixing, and building their businesses, and HomWork, a new venture where you can live where you work and work where you live, anywhere in the world. So we're happy to have Desiree here today. Welcome, Desiree, to Going Beyond Story. How are
you? Thank you. Wes, I'm glad to be here. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Let's go.
Feel empowered?
I feel empowered just being here with you. So I'm inspired, I'm empowered, and let's just get right into this and learn a little bit more about you. I gave a little teaser that you have been in business since the age of 12. Tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial background.
Well, many people say, what kind of business were you in at 12 years old? And what was happening is that on Saturday mornings, my mother would take us to dance lessons. And then in the afternoon, I would teach those same dance lessons at the local playground to younger children. So their parents paid for their classes. But the funny part is I didn't know any more than I learned that day. And for heaven forbid, if I missed the class, then theirs was a repeat. And when it was time for us to do our recitals, my mother and I made the costumes for my ladies, my girls, to have their recital. And the funny part is that at the night of the recital, it was a packed house. We sold all the tickets. It was sold out. And my brother was handling the ticket sales. My sister was in the back doing the music. And in the middle, towards the end of the performance, the management came and wanted to shut us down. They wanted to shut us down because of the occupancy. We had exceeded the occupancy. Well, at 12 years old, I had no idea even what occupancy was, never paid attention to the sign on the wall. And the parents begged them to let the show go on, which they eventually let us do. But then after that, I wasn't able to do it anymore. But I always thought it was not only the journey that you're doing, but the lessons learned from that. So, at that point, the lesson learned is that sometimes people have a lot of expertise, and are they waiting until they get certification at certain levels where I realize that wherever they are, there's somebody else that doesn't know that. And mine was just basically a glorified babysitting service, but it worked. I was able to take what I learned and be able to share it and monetize it. Then the second thing was, do you remember when in high school where we used to sell those world's famous chocolate bars for fundraisers?
Oh, yes.
With the almonds. Well, one day I happened to open up mine and I realized there were $1 a bar. I realized there was 12 pieces. So I sold them individually for 10 cents a piece. And I did it at the playground on the schoolyard because the kids didn't have $1, they had 10 cents. So I not only made a profit of 20 cents per bar, but then I sold the most bars at the school and won the prize, a transistor radio, for selling the most bars. So then again, it goes back to the fact that if you have something, a program, a product, or a service, perhaps you can break it down and sell it in little pieces, and make more profit from it. Wow. And I just went on from there, just different ventures where I one after the other.
You have given us 2 great tips already. Wherever you are, just start. And
exactly.
If you have something to do, if you have something, it might seem like it's big, break it down into smaller pieces.
Exactly.
Great. Well, I can't believe you had kids paying for lessons that you had just learned. That is funny. That's a great.
Well, it worked. One of the other little things that I was in college that I like to bring out is that I was living in Marina Del Rey, and I would look out the windows, and on the weekends, the gentlemen would leave their boats and leave it a mess. And I thought, well, I don't really want to clean the boats, but I think it's a great service to be able to clean it. So I shared with some of the kids at school. I was going to USC at the time, ladies, and we started a cleaning service, Marina Mermaid Service. And so we had a little blue T-shirt with the mermaid on it. I had blue buckets, and they were able to schedule their time in between their class schedule. So they come to my apartment, pick up their buckets, clean the boats, and we've charged $35 at that time. So it's $15 for me, $15 for them, and $5 towards products and the supplies. Well, that was a lot of money, cash free, $15 for both. It didn't take them long because there's not much to do. So that worked out really well until one day a lady was smoking on the boat and the cushions caught fire. And so we had to replace the cushion, but then the homeowner, the boat owner required us to get insurance. And at that time was prohibited because I was, we were still I was still a teenager, and it would knocked out all the profit. But, again, the moral to that story is a lesson learned is that even if it's something that you see a need or a desire and you don't want to do it yourself, and be able to share the opportunity with others that would be able to benefit from it, and you'd be able to do it and grow from there.
Okay, so if you see a need, share that opportunity. Going from there. Okay, we're learning a lot about building and fixing our businesses and feeling very empowered, I'm sure, the men and women. So sounds like you've had a lot of nice startup businesses, but I know now you're working with two main businesses, an Empowered Woman and your new venture, HomWork. Tell us a little bit about each of those and how they got started.
I was in real estate. I was licensed in real estate since 1989, and I specialized, and then eventually got my broker's license, specializing in investing in real estate. And most of my clients were men, and I wanted women to invest in real estate because I could see that they had the money, they had the credit, they had the potential. And especially since myself, that was my goal. I have bought properties and I've done a lot of different transactions. So I said, let me invite them to my home on a Sunday. And I like entertaining, I like cooking, and share my story, my challenges, my victories, and inspire them to want to invest in real estate. Because men were just investing, again, right, left and right. So they came to my home and we talked, and we had different speakers, one on finding the diva in you or being unstoppable and things of that type. The women would talk, they'd eat, they'd network, and they would just go. So it grew. Let's do it again next month, and then the next month. And we were doing it the second Sunday of the month. So 8 months later, we were just packed, and I had to hire caterers to prepare the food, and I had to start charging them. I said, well, this is becoming a business. So I asked the ladies, like, what should we name this business? Because now we have to start formalizing it and opening a bank account and so forth. And so one woman says, well, I always feel empowered when I leave here. And the person said, I feel like an empowered woman when I leave here. So that's how we came to the name An Empowered Woman. So we took it to the Mountain Gate Country Club, and we start formally every second Sunday of the month. For 12 years, we did that. And the only time we were dark is in December. So we had different speakers and different themes every month. Like January would be Yes, You Can, because that's more motivational. February was what the look of love. March was money, money, money. So every month, November was holiday makeovers. We'd have go into a salon and we'd have our hair and makeup done and have fashion designers come in and do a photographer taking videos. So it was just a fun thing. We did things different places. In September, we did on a yacht in Marina Del Rey. But the whole objective was for them to, again, women to connect, for motivation, to be able to motivate, to be able to educate, and to be able to create community. So we realized then, even after that, the women needed to expand their visions. And we started doing podcasts. We started doing videos. We had a show called Take 5, where it was 5 minutes, where they shared their expertise. It was like an interview style on a internet solution, or how they got cash in a flash, or what happens building a great team and things of that type. Then we started doing interviews with them one-on-one. And then we worked with the community. So we wanted to expand it beyond, again, our local area. And that helped us grow considerably. So then we built a digital magazine where we thought, okay, we had 3 levels of members: the ones that were under 6 figures, the ones that were 6 figures, and the ones that were 7 figures. And the under 6 figures ones that were starting the businesses. So we had classes and programs for that. Then the ones that were 6 figures, we had masterminds where we'd have, every month we'd have a 7-figure come in and coach them individually as well as a group. And then we had our 7 figures where they did a lot of the podcasts and videos, and we created a magazine called Let's Talk Success. And they shared their stories, their challenges, their victories, and their secrets to success.
Wow. And then we went just a whole building of an entire little empire. That's a lot. And
it was a lot, but it was fun. It was all fun, And then we went into their homes and we interviewed them, like the lifestyles and rich and famous. I think women like to see how other women are living and what they're driving and how, what their deal is. So we did a couple of those segments, which were really exciting to be able to go into their homes and interview them. But, it is a lot, what you said. And we realized that we needed more sponsors, more advertisers, even more of a team. And things happened, when the market changed and things kind of slowed down and there was a lot of disruption as far as, the programs, people were holding on to the money a little differently. So we at that time had to reanalyze what we were going to do and how we were going to take this, even further.
Okay. And now you also have HomWork. Tell us a little bit about HomWork.
Well, that came out of that, I call it, I went into incubator stage. I kind of moved out of the area for a couple of years, not intentionally, but just when I moved, I had to pass in my mother and a couple other things that happened in the market. So it gave me a perfect time to pause and to say, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And I realized I loved real estate. So people said, go back to real estate, but that wasn't really 100% what I wanted to do. And then I love the empower women, dealing with the women, sharing with the women, learning from the women, experiencing things with the women. But I had to redo that. And when I thought about it and I started to go out myself to look for a place to buy, I said, I really want to be in a home. I was empty nester now, but I really want to stay in a home. And I really wanted people around me. I didn't want to live by myself or be by myself. I enjoyed the movement that I had enjoyed when I had the children at home. I said, well, why don't I get a big house, which people have talked about that a long time, get a nice big luxury house and share it with other like-minded women. And that's how women came about. I said, I want to live where I work. I've always worked from home for the most part, work where I live, and then do it anywhere in the world. So I find that more women don't want the freedom, they want the flexibility, they want the maintenance, they don't want the mortgages. And so that's what we're creating now. We're acquiring luxury style homes and we're building out the bedrooms so that each bedroom has a live work suite in it. And then the dining rooms can convert to conference rooms. The living rooms can convert to meeting rooms. And then just have areas where women can live there full time, or they can live there part time, where maybe they have another second home someplace in another city, but they come here all the time for business or for pleasure or family matters. And then also a drop-in, have a room dedicated for drop-ins. So someone that's just coming to town for an event or a seminar for the weekend or whatever, they can just stay instead of staying in a hotel. Because when hotels are not necessarily women friendly, because we usually have a lot of stuff that we travel with, and so finding parking and checking in and finding the room and unpacking, only to pack a few days later, and to be subject to the room service if it's available or not. This way, they can drive into a driveway or a garage and unload their things and have access to the kitchen. Fabulous meal. They want to have meetings. They can enjoy having meetings there. They can have conferences there. So it's much more easier. And it's much more economical. And it's much more fun.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So it sounds like that business is what you're really focused on now. Tell me a little bit more about what's the most challenging thing for starting a business like that.
It's interesting because it's you forget about it once you're in business for years, and then when you start again, you think, okay, it's going to be easier, and it is easier in some aspects because you have the knowledge to work with. But there's always some challenges as far as one, getting capital. I had decided this time that many times I've bootstrapped my other businesses. This business was solely reliant upon investors. I was going to take that route because I wanted to make sure that not only I believed in this concept, but others did as well, and then enough to put their money where their mouths are. So it was investors. So that's a process, again, great ideas, but there's a whole process learning component into being able to present to investors, being able to do decks and the biggest challenge is they call it family and friends. But that has been the hardest. My biggest investors have been people that don't know me, which is the funniest thing. People that don't know me, haven't known me that long, they're the ones that invested. The family and friends, some of them don't have it. They want to, but they don't have it. But then the disappointing part of some of them that did have it, they have it. They've always rah-rahed you on or cheerleaded you on for years, but they don't invest. So then and that's kind of when you're putting together your numbers, what you think you can raise, you factor that in. And so that makes a big difference as far as now you're presenting it to people that you don't know. And it's hurtful in a sense, because it's just hurtful in a sense, but then it also, everybody has the reasons, so you have to accept that. And you have to make sure that doesn't affect your relationship with that friend, as well. So that was a real growing part for me, is to say, maintain my integrity and my love for that person, even though they weren't there to support me when I knew that they could. It's one thing. Good. Challenge is also working through the kinks. There's growing pains, no matter what you're doing, getting things right. Working through different things that work out, whether it's technical whether it's building a team. It's very challenging building a team because it's fresh. It's a fresh idea. Most of the time you're starting fresh. That's a challenge because it takes a while to do that. I think the hardest thing is that it doesn't happen as fast as you think or want it to. It's been a year, and so we thought we'd be much further along, but there's just certain things that have to be done right. If you're building a good foundation, which is what I realized, you have to build a strong foundation, then it's going to be stronger, at the end. So many people try to rush it through and don't get their legal, don't get their accounting, don't get their, licenses, don't get things in place. Then they wind up doing it later, and sometimes it takes a back slope. So it's just being able to be strong, and it's a lonely ride. It's a really no matter what you're doing and how, because it's something that is. And if you have a partner, it makes it much better. But I don't have a partner, and you have to be very careful about selecting that partner. So otherwise, if you don't have a partner, it's just lonely as far as being able to brainstorm with somebody about something. Like correct something. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Because everything is fresh. And especially in this industry right now, the co-working, co-sharing industry is relatively new. So I don't have a lot of information to bring forth. I don't have a lot behind me to study. It's very, really new. So in the last couple of years.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of challenges. You've taken taken on an industry that gives you a lot of different challenges. And that's always that's something that you have to look at. And it sounds like it's difficult. So when you think about something that difficult and that challenging, what did you find that was easy for you to do in this to actually give you that boost to make you move forward on it?
Well, one of the biggest things is that these are two of my loves. So I could not be in a better place about being able to say, I love real estate. Every time I go look at a house, I'm charged, I'm excited. I want to decorate. I want to buy it, everything. And I love dealing with the women. I love the podcast, the interviews. I love knowing that we're going to be in a home together. We're going to be doing events together. I love that. So that is my part. Because I don't know at this point, knowing that this is possible, I don't know what else I'd be happy doing. So that drives me. This is like the only thing I can think of that would just make me this happy in doing. And then one of the things that I do when I run across a hiccup, I listen to, there's a podcast I was sharing with you about how I built this, or just different stories and bios, different stories. And I put it on my iPad. And sometimes I listen to it at night before I go to sleep, put it under my pillow. In the morning, I pull it out and listen to another one in the morning. It just fires me up because I realize that, if entrepreneurs are true themselves, they all have challenges, and some of them are experiencing challenges that I think that I'll never experience. I hope I never experience. It's like, wow, that's like really big. So it makes my little hiccup like nothing, okay, well, you can get through this because there is a solution to this. And again, I know some of it comes with, the territory. And, we have three parts of HomWork. We have the membership component, and we have our signature homes. Then we also have host properties, which are launching now, whereas other people's properties, like the Airbnb for women in business. So I know all those components are going to have some challenges, and I'm prepared for it because there's a solution.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are really, and again, you've shared such good tips with us so far. You talked to us about wherever you are, get started. Number two, you said if you have something big, break it down, which sounds like you've done with HomWork as well. Mm-hmm. Number three, you said if you see a need, share it with others. And that's a part of what you're doing with HomWork. But some of the other things you said that I don't even know if you realized they were tips. Make sure your foundation is solid. So you knew what you were doing in terms of getting into real estate. You started studying and really understanding what the foundation was going to take. You said, love what you do, because all those challenges you had, if you didn't love what you were doing, you would have just quit. And then finally, you also said, be encouraged by others, listening to podcasts, learning from what other people have done, and that can take you further too. So these have been great tips. I'm writing all the tips down because we want to make sure our listeners get the tips in the end. But I want to ask you now, tell me one of, everybody has a fail forward story. We call them fail forward stories because when you fail, you want to just get up and keep on moving forward. And you also have these great success stories. So I'm going to ask you those two questions first. Give us your big win story, like something in business that happened where you were just like, this is it. This is the business and I'm winning. Tell us your success story.
One of the things that come to mind was one day, because we encourage people to call us, the ladies to call us on the phone, because we always answered our phones. We never we never discouraged that. And one day, a young lady was calling us, and she was very, very challenged. She was feeling very discouraged. She didn't have support from her family. She was running out of money. She was running out of time. It was just very, we were talking to her. And so my final words to her is that go listen to our podcast. I said, we have a whole, we had to do podcasts as well. Go listen to the podcast and listen to the first one. The same thing that I do, listen to the podcast, and you'll hear some encouraging stories, and that will get her up. So she said she did. And when she called back about an hour or so later, she was bawling. She was like crying, like like bawling. And I thought, oh my gosh, what did she listen to? Like, what was it? That was supposed to be the good news. It was not supposed to be something that, and I said, what's wrong? What happened? She said, the first podcast that she listened to, she wasn't even paying attention. She said, until today, was hers. And it was her podcast that she had recorded a year earlier, speaking about her success, or the things that she had did and her success. And that just broke it down for her, that where she was right now was not who she was, and that to me, stories like that, are the biggest success. This has nothing to do with the money, it has nothing to do with the accolades that we get from outside sources. It's the fact that what you're doing is really making a difference to somebody. And it doesn't take everybody, but it just takes a couple people that you made a difference in their life, whether it's that moment or that day. And I run into ladies all the time and says, here's my business that I started thanks to coming to Your Power of Seven, or here's my business. Now I'm an entrepreneur because I came to the events as a corporate person, and it gave me the courage to leave my corporate job and become an entrepreneur, and things of that type. So those are my biggest successes. I mean, that makes it all worthwhile.
That's really a great success story, seeing other people's success.
Just like what you're doing. I mean, you're sharing what you're doing, you're creating a platform for other women and men to be able to hear this, and that's someone's going to take something from it and become successful. That's a gift.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. I certainly hope they do. And learning these tips from you is definitely going to be a part of that. So now tell us your fail forward story, something where you felt like you failed miserably and it just didn't work out, and maybe the lesson that you learned from it.
Well, one of the things that I, and just, in acknowledging what you said and reframing it a bit, I hear what you're saying as far as fail forward. I don't feel I've ever failed. There's a lot of businesses I've done and I'm not doing now. So for good reasons. I think I grew through them. The lessons were learned. I shared a couple of them, but I grew through them. We grow up. We don't wear the same size shoes we wore 20 years ago. Well, maybe not, or same size dress. But some things that just was like, once we gave this event, we had created a foundation as a nonprofit, and we gave this big event on the boat, a yacht. And we were blessed with some of the people that made large donations. And we had our merchant account, and it wasn't PayPal, it was another merchant account. And we had about 120 people, I think, on this boat that had paid to be on this boat, plus sponsors, plus these donors. The merchant account shut us down. They would not release the money. We needed to pay the money like that Friday morning before the boat took out on a Sunday, for example. They would not release that money for like another 7 to 10 days. And the boat would not work with us. It would not work. So we had to make, I think it was like $7,000, $8,000 that we had to give them for that boat parted. Now, we have 100 and something people that would be walking on that boat planning to get on, and we had no way. And that was all our money, because of course, as you do an event, you're spending it as you get it. And they wouldn't release those money. So we had, between the panic and between the between the tears and between like the fear, talk about being fearful, like what am I going to do, what am I going to say? So finally, we had to ask someone to lend us money. One of the people that was people that was on our board, and they lent us the money to the boat, knowing that when we released the money, we gave it back to them. But, that was scary and hurtful in itself. Now, also though, after that, I heard about the fact that they had shared that information with people, and the people thought that we had just took the money and never paid them back, and that we had mismanaged it. They forgot the part about that the money's being held, and a lot of the intricate details. And that was very, very hurtful. And it was really hard coming through that and explaining through that. And so I think when you help people, just as a side note, it's a personal transaction, and make sure you share it. If you have to share it, I don't share it, but if you have to share it in a light that's positive. So it was shared in a very negative light, that we didn't have enough money, we didn't have the boat, they had to come rescue us and things of that type. So I guess that was necessary. It could have been a failure. That would have been traumatic, because we would not have been able to explain to those people they couldn't get on the boat, but it worked out. Yeah, we move forward. We found a solution and move forward with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Because sometimes things happen out of your control. You have no control.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Lesson learned from that is to have multiple merchant accounts.
Multiple merchant accounts. Whoop.
Merchant accounts and like PayPal, Square, and authorized.net. So if one doesn't work, you've got some other angles. God bless you.
Thank you. Well, that's absolutely a good lesson. It's always good to have a backup plan in whatever it is that you do. And explaining things fully, communicating is always important. And a part of why some of us fail forward or get into binds or situations is because the communication isn't necessarily where it needs to be. And that
right.
counts.
You're right, because it affects your reputation. You know, reputation is everything, especially if you're in a small community. You work hard to get it. You need to work hard to keep it.
Exactly. The merchant account should have definitely communicated how long it takes for that process to go through so that you'd have more time to understand that. Well, wow, those were two great stories. So we're going to ask you, we're not going to keep you all day, but we are going to ask and you are kind of starting a new venture today. So
yes,
the question is, if anyone in the audience were starting a new business today and or even trying to sustain the businesses that they have, what tip would you share in starting and sustaining their business?
I think the biggest thing from what I've seen and what I've heard that takes businesses down or reasons why we don't go forward, that we quit. A lot of it has to do with the financial. You know, we run out of money, we don't have the credit, we don't have certain things at that point on. So the biggest tip I can say, do everything possible that you can to shore your finances, you know, shore up enough that to, again, do all the things you need to do legally, get the legal paperwork and work, because many times we just kind of skip that process. And that can come down and take you down in seconds. Get your accounting, your bookkeeping together, because that IRS stuff can levy accounts. I've had that happen, levy accounts, money is gone. That can shut you down in seconds. Have is whatever you possibly can, find someone who is your backup person, you know, as a mentor. You know, a lot of times we don't take advantage of mentors that are available to us. You know, find out, and you don't have to be limited to one. You know, I'm realizing now that I need 3 or 4 of them. You know, someone they're not available when you need them to be, you know, or some are just more of an expert in different topics. I have a mentor that's more adverse in investing and that type of thing, how to handle those situations. Someone else is more involved in real estate, how do I get past this? You know, challenge, how do I get this in real estate? So have a couple of mentors, people who have been there, that have done that, and that will tell it to you real. You know, as far as being able to go to when you get stuck and then being able to keep moving forward. But most importantly, you know, it's all with you. It's all about within. So your head has to be so strong. You have to be so dedicated, to be so clear. And when you find yourself getting into a fall like this now, I find myself, if I'm getting into a fall or getting to sticky situations, work out. No, I'm getting up and I'm walking and working out, or, you know, incorporating and listening to something or going to something. What I've incorporated this year, New Year's resolution, is I take one day a month for myself that I go do something fun, like go to a museum or go to an opera, and then doing it during the day, and I unplug. And the part about it that's fun is that I bring somebody with me that maybe you've met in a business circle, because situation, and you haven't had a chance to connect with them, and then lunch maybe not do it. So I invite them. I say, can I kidnap you for today, for this hour to this hour? And then, or like we did one morning, can I kidnap you for breakfast from 6 to 9? I picked them up and took them to breakfast in Santa Barbara and came back. So it furthers that relationship. Now I know more about them, they know more about me. And even though I say I'm not really working, it's work because something comes out of it always. But just find out what you need to do for yourself and find that time, that day, that way to do it for yourself. Because at the end of the day, and end of your journey, it's not all about your business. It's what winds up with who you are and what friends you've made. And that's your biggest asset, not the money, but it's people, the relationships.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Desiree. Desiree Debroux with An Empowered Woman and HomWork. Tell us how we can be in touch with you.
Email Desiree, DESIREE at HomWork, HOMWORK.com, or you can call us. I guess that's slammed last week for giving my cell phone away out, but I enjoyed talking to everybody. So you can contact me on my cell, which is 818-292-5559. Go to HomWork.com or go to anempoweredwoman.com. Either way, you can email us, you can call us, 818-292-5559, or Desiree, Desiree, at HomWork, HomWork.com.
All right, that sounds great. And remember, you've been listening to the Going Beyond Story Show, the Business Story Show. And today we learned, Desiree, we got 9 important tips from you. 9 tips from Desiree. First, wherever you are, start. Second, if you have something that's big, it seems like it's too big for you, break it down into bite-sized pieces, like Desiree did with her chocolate bars, bite-sized pieces at 10 cents each and making a 20-cent profit. Number 3, you see a need, share that opportunity with others, and you may be able to benefit as well. Number 4, make sure your foundation is solid. Know what it is you're getting into and understand your business. Number 5, love what you do. If you don't love what you do, this entrepreneur world is challenging and it will kick your butt. So you better love what you do. Desiree has told you some stories about the challenges. So love what you do. Number 6, be encouraged by others. Listen to podcasts, get on video blogs, find coaches and mentors, but learn from others, because when you're encouraged by others, it also encourages them and you back. Number 7, have a backup plan. And in Desiree's case, she mentioned having multiple merchant accounts, Square, PayPal, pay by check. There's all sorts of them out there. Do your homework and have a backup plan, especially when it comes to the finances. Number 8, get your legal and financial things in order. Your legal really should be in place. I think that was a great tip that Desiree shared in terms of making sure your licenses and everything are in shape. As small business owners, a lot of times we choose to just do it the old-fashioned way of putting the money under the pillow. No, we've got to be with the banks. We have to understand how finances work and understand the legal structure of your business. Get your legal and financial business in order, and get mentored in areas where you might need some help. Number 9 tip, and this one I think is your tip of the day: get in the right headset or the mindset that you need to be to operate and sustain your business. Use whatever tool it takes, meditation, exercise, play, whatever it is. Desiree's of taking a day a month to actually hang out with a person that she hasn't had an opportunity to hang out with. That's a great way to combine business and pleasure. And with those 9 tips, Desiree, we want to just thank you for being on the Going Beyond Story Business Story Show. And thank you for those tips, because they can really take us far in our businesses.
Well, thank you. And can I add one more to make it around 10?
Absolutely.
Okay. The biggest one is never let anyone or anything dim the light that shines within.
I love it.
Thank you.
And with that note, you guys can reach Desiree at anempoweredwoman.com or homwork.com, home without the E, HomWork.com, homwork.com. Desiree, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
And you all have been listening to the Going Beyond Story Business Story Show with Dr. Theon. It has been a pleasure to interview Desiree Debroux today, and it's been a pleasure having you as our listening audience. Thanks. We hope to see you again, or hear you again, or hear from you again next week, and tune in. Looking forward to it. Bye, Desiree, and goodbye, audience.